Now in my workshop, power tools do most of the heavy lifting. So if I do need to use a hand tool for any reason, like a plane or a chisel, often I've seen better days. I've not got any more beard, have I? So I'm building a guitar, I need to flatten some boards down with a hand plane because I haven't got a jointer. But very quickly I realised that my plane needed some love. So I picked up this, the Hongdui. Picked up this Hongdui sharpening system from Banggood. Never used Banggood before, so I'm keen to see how this turns out.
I've got a couple of pieces of maple that I need to get down to thickness, but before I run them through my planer, I need to get one side flat so that it doesn't rock and it can actually make a nice parallel cut in the planer. So grab the nearest plane to hand. This happens to be a number 7. I do have kind of a number 5 somewhere, but it's going to be in exactly the same situation, so I really just want to see how this sharpening system works today. So after a couple of test passes, I can tell straight away that the blade doesn't feel sharp, and I could also do with aligning it to make sure it comes out level, because I've got some massive gouges in here as well, so we definitely need to pay some attention to this blade, and that's where the sharpening system is going to come into play. So to get a better look at what I'm working with, I'm just going to quickly take this apart, and it's quite hard to see on the video, but you can tell straight away that the end isn't crisp and clean. There's lots of little dings in it, so I'm going to have a look at the sharpening system now. First impressions are the packaging. They've obviously spent some time on this. You can always tell a lot about a tool by the way it's packaged. Sometimes these things just come in a plastic bag. This is definitely a bit more of a high quality tool. First out of the box is a nice solid honing guide. You've also got this little angle finder which you can use to reference the blades that you're going to be sharpening, so you know exactly where you're starting from. But far more importantly, it does this. This might just be the best fidget spinner on the planet. So I lost a bit of time playing with the fidget spinner, but eventually I decided to get back to work. Any minute now. Okay, so using the angle finder, I'm just going to check the plane blade just to see what it's looking like. And it's currently set to just around about 25 degrees, which is what you'd expect for a primary bevel, but it's good to check it so we know what we're going to be setting the tool up for. Now let's take a little bit of a closer look at the actual honing guide itself. First feel is it is weighty, it feels really solid, it's got a nice massive roller on the back of it, and also just the construction, the way it's machined feels incredibly solid. Now as a comparison, I'm just going to quickly grab the honing guide I have been using up till now, which is obviously a cheap one, but you can see there's a massive difference in what you're getting, as the difference is night and day when you've got them both in your hands. I know which one I'll be using moving forward. And now over to what's arguably the most important part of this setup, which is this quick adjust angle finding jig, which you can use to make sure you're setting the blade up in the honing guide perfectly for accurate repeatable cuts. Now on the front of the honing guide there's a little dovetail machine slot, which this jig slides into, and the accuracy of the machining is really high because there's very little movement in this once it's actually in. And at the other end of the jig we have the adjustment which you can use to set the angle that you want. Now it's got all the common angles set on there, and there's also a little bit of a positive stop, so when you reach those angles it does kind of lock into place so you know exactly where you're at. And as you can see, once it's tightened up, there's absolutely no movement in this. This jig is rock solid, so you know that it's not going to shift as you're setting things up, which is really good. It's obviously a fair sized plane blade that we're using here today, but the jaws accept it really well and it's locked down nicely. As you can see, we're just sliding it up, tightening everything down, and once that's locked in place, we can then remove the jig end and we're ready to start honing. So for sharpening my tools, I like to use a diamond stone. This doesn't come as part of the kit, you do need to buy it separately, but I will leave a link in the description to where I got mine. I'm starting on the 400 grit side, and I am going to work this a little bit because it does need a fair amount of grinding down to get it to a nice clean finish. But I am appreciating the weight of the honing guide and the massive big roller on the back, because it just means it's really easy to lay down the pressure and make sure you've got even pressure across the whole end of the blade. So after a little while I'm starting to feel like I'm getting somewhere. I'm now just going to flip the blade over so I can remove the burr on the back of the blade, and then we can see where we're at. I'm pretty happy with that, so now I'm going to flip it over and go to the 1000 grit so that we can start to finish this off. And as is customary when sharpening any blade, it's then time to start trying to shave the back of your hand to see where you're getting. On this first attempt I get a few hairs, but it's not really the result I'm going for, and that's because I haven't taken it to the leather strop to really get this blade sharpened up to its maximum potential. Once again, I'll leave a link to this as well, which if you want to check this out, but this really does make a massive difference Not really sure of the science or how this works, because it's really counterintuitive that a piece of leather makes such a difference, but it really does. I've just loaded up the piece of leather with some stropping compound and then just a few passes just to really finish this off. It doesn't take a lot. And now for the moment of truth. This thing does a really good job now of shaving the back of my hand. This is the part of the video where you wish you had a really dark hairs on the back of your hand, but mine are quite light, so it's harder to see. But it's actually given a really close shave and you can't feel any stubble. Soft as the baby's bum. Maybe? No.
Okay, looks like I'm going to have to hold the mic for the wrap up because this thing is pants and it's dying on me, so I'm hoping to upgrade the audio equipment on the channel very soon, so keep an eye out for that. So as I said, this is my first time ordering anything from Banggood, and I gotta say, for this purchase, I'm really impressed. The sharpening system seems really well made, really simple to use, and pretty good value for money, so I'm really happy with it. So if you're looking for a no-fuss way to sharpen your chisels and planes, then why not check it out? I'll leave a link in the description below. Now that my tools are all sharpened again, I can get back to the guitar build. If you want to see how that turns out, then please do like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.